Welcome back. We're finally back to building our engine. It's been, God, like 4 months since I pulled the engine out and discovered it was pretty much trash. So we figured we'd go ahead and start building our closed deck EJ257. I went ahead and ordered my JE forged pistons for a hybrid build. They got a custom set. I'm sure you guys know this. Um, Manley H-Tough rods and a stage 1 IEG oil pump. Let's go ahead and show you what all tools we're going to be using. We got our gear wrench, torque wrench. It's a 1/2 inch torque wrench. It's got angle gauge, and it goes down to I think 50 foot-pounds. So we're going to have to use a 3/8 torque wrench for our rods. I don't have a bolt stretch gauge. I've thought about making one, but I don't have one right now. So if you got a bolt stretch gauge, you might be able to go to like a 60 foot-pound with just oil. But we're going to use ARP lube for our rods, so we're going to go to 45 foot-pounds. We're going to need a piston ring grinder. We're going to need a micrometer to measure out our journal size, so we can use our dial bore gauge to see what our clearances are for our bearings. And we got our ring pliers. We got our ARP lube. We got our EngineAssembly lube, and we got our vise to hold our rods while we torque them down. Okay, so when you get your Manley rods, they come with instructions, and the instructions say to use engine oil and torque them down to a specific torque. And in my case, that torque is 60 foot-pounds with 30 weight engine oil. You can actually use ARP ultra torque assembly lube and only torque them down to 45 foot-pounds, which is what I'm going to do because I don't like putting that much stress on the bearings when it's on the crank. 60 foot-pounds twisting is a little iffy for me. So just so you know, you can use ARP lube. You can check your bolt stretch. It should be 6 thou or 0.006 after you torque them to make sure that your torque is correct. Let's go ahead and get started on the crank. We're going to go ahead and measure out our journals for our rods. All of them the same, so what you want to do is go ahead and loosen it up, turn the thimble out, and you're going to read the sleeve here. Oh, also when you measure out your journal size with this micrometer, you always want to lock it. There's a lock right here. You just lock it when you get your measurement, and you pull it off. If you get your measurement right every single time, you can take your micrometer and put it into each journal. As long as each journal is the same size, and it should just like slide right through. You don't want it to like gouge the crank. You just want to barely touch it, or else you'll scratch it. You don't want to scratch a crank, because if you scratch it, you will definitely regret it. But if you do end up scratching it, you can get some 3000 grit. I use 2000 grit and 3000 grit sandpaper. And if it's bad enough, you can use a emery cloth. The emery cloth. Now, when you do this, you just want to barely put any pressure on it. You don't want to gouge it and you don't want movement side to side. So once you get it about right, about in the middle, just 3 clicks. Pull it out, and each one will be the same. They should just slide right over. You shouldn't have to put any pressure on it, just barely slide, and you're done. You got your setting. So when you do this, you want to take it, put it in a vise like that, And what you're going to do is put this in here and just zero it out. You're going to find what you want to do is find the tightest clearance, the biggest number rather. Once you get your the largest number on here, you zero out your gauge, and then you can go ahead and start installing your bearings inside of your rods. You're going to want to get yourself some lint-free rags or lint-free paper towels, so you don't get lint inside of your bearings whenever you press them onto the crank. So these are already loose. Wipe the oil off this. You want to go ahead and remove your cap, your rod caps. So when you take these off, make sure you got your numbers on the same side, or mark them so you don't put your cap on backwards. These are line board. Alright, so the whole reason you want your lint-free rags or paper towels so you can clean the back. See? And when you put these in a vise, here I'm going to turn this around here. So when you put these in a vise, you want to put something there so you don't mess up gouge your rod or whatever. You want some kind of protection. Just wrap your rod with the rag or something. And the reason why we're putting in a vise is so we can torque it down. We'll take the bearings and wipe them off. This doesn't hold anything, it's just so you can place the bearings in the right direction. That's all it is for. It doesn't hold the bearing in place. When you put these on, you don't want to just push them down. You want to put a little bit of pressure in the opposite direction, so when you slide your bearings in, you want to push a little bit forward so you don't scratch the back of them. And here we go. And we're going to push a little bit forward and in so you don't scratch the back of the bearing again. Alright. Our lube. So on the lube, I think it's best you don't put it on the threads, you put it on the top of the caps, because what's under the pressure is the top of the cap, or the base of the, so it's easier just put it on top of the rod. So we're going to go 45 foot-pounds. 45 block. And it's a 7/16, so you don't want to tighten down one side only and then go to the next. You want to do it in steps. This way your cap goes down evenly. So now we're going to take our dowel bore and we're going to measure the inside. 25, that's perfect. So we're going to go ahead and start assembling our rods. So we put our pre-lube on. Before we do that, I'm going to use some brake cleaner and clean our bearing off. I've already cleaned the crank, so there we go. Put a little dot. And smear it around. Save for this one. Now when you put this together, we want to make sure the right side, the numbers are on the same side. So the numbers are on this side and this side. And we're going 45 foot pound. 45. God. One. It's two. Now it should be free. Yep, there we go. Nice. Very nice. Maybe I was thinking about a different one. Nope, right there it is. I'm doing the wrong one. My bad. We need street moderate turbo nitrous. So that's the reason why I thought my count was off. All right. Starting over. 3.937 times 0.0050 equals 1.96. 0.0196. That's the top and the bottom. .937 times 0.0055 equals 2.16. 0216. Thought it was. So 0.2 and 0.22 if you want to round up, which you probably will. 2. Yeah, it's just 2, 1, or 2. I'm not going to go 1, 9 period. I'll have to round up. All right, 2 and 2, 2. All right, let's get. We're going to do the bottom first. So you want to slide the ring in first and then push it down flush with the piston. So down probably like an inch, because you want it to be down inside the cylinder. Is bottom. So that's going to be 2, 2. Oh yeah, we're going to take some off. Knock off the burr. Dog hair. Alright, put it back down in the cylinder. That's it. Now, chromoly. These get 2 exactly. Boy, these are much tighter. Holy smokes. Those don't even have a clearance on them. Dang. Yeah, I didn't think so. I can look at that until it's wrong. These were a lot harder. These are going to take a minute. Wow. Finally, that was done. And the oil rings should be good. We'll go ahead and check it just to make sure, but that should be like 10. Brass tin or copper, whatever. Yep. There we go. Alright, I went and picked up my gaskets. You need 6 washers with seals for your bolts that go inside of your water jackets. And you need 4 washers that go into the other 4 bolts. But anyways, I went and picked up my gaskets today. Take this apart and we'll get started. Oh, I checked my bearing clearances. They're within 1,000. So they're between 2 and 3. These 2 center ones are right at 29 thou, and the rest of them are right at 2. So they're not perfect, and I'm not taking the block to get it line board because that's an extra at least $500. But we need to use a 3-bond from Subaru. That goes around the case halves, and we have brand new seals to put in. He gave me two different sets because he wasn't sure which one was which, but we got that covered. So that one is it. It's right there. So we got 3 black O-rings that go in between the case. All of them are ribbed like this. You have 3 of these. You go right there. You have some other O-rings like this. And just a regular O-ring. This goes, the flat one will go on the oil pickup, and the round one will go on the inside of the oil pan. We'll get to it later though. So we got that. The ones that are ribbed, you'll have one for your oil pump as well. So we need to go ahead and get, we need to go ahead and clean up our bearings. Get those ready. When you get your bearings ready, you want to make sure that you don't have any nicks in the bearing, any sharp pieces. If you do, you just clean them off with a piece of sandpaper or something. Not a lot, but just a little bit. We'll clean off your mating surface. For your 3-bond. And your 3-bond is going to go along here, and if I'm not mistaken, here and here. So let's go ahead and put our lube on. Don't forget to lube up your your thrust bearing. And that needs to be cleaned off. want to make sure your mating surface is clean. You don't want any of this stuff on mating surface. Okay. I don't have we're going to the little here. Here, go around, over, under, if I'm not mistaken, and here. Might have to clean this out. Nope, it's good. That's got a little bit nasty. Alright, that's better. That should be good. Got. That should be it. Let me check my nut. Here we go. Make sure your bearings are clean. So that's 1 and 3. There it is. Hold that up. Stay. Now we need to oil up these bolts, the ones with the seals and the threads. Cut 'em. Okay. So we'll go ahead and torque the left-hand side down. Let's see, what was it? 15 Newton meters on DB and 20 on AC. over. Oh, it gets heavier. So these are 20 Newton meters, 18 Newton meters, and I'll get the torque. So 15 and 14, 13. Yeah, 13. We'll just round up 15 foot-pounds and 13 foot-pounds. We'll get these. And you want to go in order, so it's E, F, G, H, I, J. So we'll swap over to 13 foot-pounds. And 15. Back to 13, I don't know why. So make sure. Okay, then we're going to go 90 degrees. Instead of flipping it over, I am going to put it on its side and go from there, I suppose. Be a lot easier. Okay. So we'll go 90 degrees. I would use this, but probably should. This the whole reason why I bought this big one, is to get things right. So this one is H. That thing's really off. Let's see this back. Okay, so I made a boo-boo and I had to go back and fix it, but I missed a few places with the 3 bond, and I'll show it to you here, or I'll bring back up the video and show you where I missed it. But I had to take it all back apart and glue it, 3 bond it, and put it back together and tighten everything back down. I didn't think you wanted to see me do that, so I went off camera and did that. Anyways, everything's back together, ready to go. We need to make sure we got all of our plugs in. Plugs meaning right here, the top plugs. You got a plug in the back, and I believe there's, yeah, we got 2 on the front, 3 on the front, I believe, or 2 on the front, which I didn't take out. They're still in there. And I believe that is it. All my plugs and the oil. We're not going to put that in yet, but we do have the plugs, so we can put them back in. I'll have to find that one. Anyways, what's next? Since we got everything together, is we're going to go ahead and start assembling the pistons. I've already grounded the rings down to spec, which is for turbo and nitrous street. Which I believe, thought the paper was in here. I hate doing this. There it is. Okay. Pretty sure I already went through this with the rings. There's a guide on the rings that you can go by. For street moderate turbo nitrous, it is bore times 5 thousandths, and second ring is bore times 55 thousandths. You take your cylinder bore, which mine is a 100 millimeter. You take 100 divided by 25.4, and that will give you your inch. And then you take that inch and times it by whatever setting you want on your paper. And that's what you'll grind your rings down to. When we go back together with our pistons, when we install our rings on our pistons, that's a special way to do that. Let me see which one we got right. We need to install our rings onto our piston. So when we go to put our rings on the piston, we want to make sure that we don't leave the edges on the skirt side. We want to leave the edges on the wrist pin side. Never line up the rings to the skirt side. Always to the rings or the pin side. So we're going to want to do our O-rings first. These should be the easiest. And when we do this, we're going to put one ring, if I'm not mistaken, one ring's over here and one over here. So once you install your ring here, here's the middle O-ring, you're going to have a stopper, one of your O-rings, one of your O-rings will have a key on it. It stops it from spinning. That will be facing down and it will lock into one of the oil holes. I'll get to it here in just a second. Show you what I'm talking about. Anyways, so you want to lock that ring into the first groove right there. And there's only one of those per piston, so when you do that, you can line up your other ring to the opposite side. Basically, you don't want any rings lining up because that will allow bypass oil, gases, and whatnot. So one's locked here, center one's right there, and the other ring is over here on this side. Now we're going to do the same with the other rings. But we got a ring compressor or ring pliers, which make things a lot easier. Anyways, your marking is going to be this one has a mark on it right there. That mark's going to be facing up. And this is a second oil ring or compression ring. Like I said, just keep with your settings, markings going up. On these JE pistons, they give you chrome rings, so your top compression ring is a chrome. And that's it. So you got your second compression ring on one wrist pin, your top one on the other one, and you staggered your other O-rings. So this one will be ready to go ahead and install. So I would suggest using a solid ring compressor that sets down into the cylinder, but I have one of these and I've never had a problem with it. I mean, when I first used it, I broke a couple rings because I didn't know how to use it, but I learned how to use it, so I will be okay. But I recommend whoever else is doing this to go get a solid one. Makes things a lot easier. Alright, now that I'm back from Narnia, losing my mind, so you want to put this on the front side. You want to put the lock, the wrist pin lock, on the front side of the piston. So when you go to install your wrist pin, it goes straight through. You have a arrow that points to the front of the engine and the exhaust, and so you know which way it needs to go. This is the front of the engine for me, so the arrow points to the front. If you have a problem and it gets stuck, don't force it, because you will break a ring. You just want to make sure you just tap it in. If it stops and it doesn't want to go, stop, back out. Alright, so we're good. We should be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and push this one down and get this together. Remember to line up your piston or your rod, so when you get your piston down there, we can see, you got the piston and the rod lined up, so now we can put our pin through there. Throw some oil on it. There it goes. And in it is. Alright. I had to make a custom set of pliers, needle nose. It's alright. Then Hit it again. Missed. Check our rings, make sure none of them are bent. Put them back. Good. 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 That's what I'm talking about. Always, never force it. Go ahead and put our caps back in. Say 14. Rebond the threads. Tighten them down. Throw some bond on this one. Service window. Ah, that'll work. And I think that's 6 foot-pounds. Says 7 foot-pounds. And if you don't have one, you get impact. It comes with the socket. Got this one to do. 5 foot-pounds again. I said 7, but it's 5. It's 4.7. Alright, we're going to get this oil pump and put the oil seal, or front seal into the pump itself. I think that's it. These are for something else. Bolts. We got brand new bolts and seals. So we're going to go ahead and tap this one in, but I'd like to get some oil around it first. I would put some grease, like axle grease around it, but I think oil will work. I've never had a problem putting oil on it. That should work. Clean the surface and oil off the surface. And we'll put some rebond. Put too much on it, squishes everywhere, and then gets into your oil and stops up your filter and your pickup. So you don't want to put too much on. Just enough, you don't put so much on there, it starts to. You need to take your bolt out before you put your pump on, because if you don't, you'll mess up your seal. And this is, make sure your pump lines up. There we go. Pain in the bum. I think I'll use sauce. Looks like link, right? It's a 10. 10 millimeters. It says to torque it down to 4.7 foot-pounds, but I think we'll just do that by hand because, I mean, whatever. I'm really not putting any pressure on it. That's it. They had a new one on recently. So I'm not putting a new one on. Water pump, water pump. We installed the water pump. Oh yeah. I can't sing. I'm just a hillbilly, I guess. Not a singer at all. Alright. I don't like torquing these things down. I'd rather just hand tighten them. That is not going to happen. If it leaks, then I'll pull it back off and I will put some helicool in it. But until then, it's good. You gotta watch out for these old blocks. They're all kind of wonky because people don't pay attention to what they're doing. They tighten shit down too tight. I'm one of them sometimes, but I tend to watch what I'm doing anymore. Got a new one of those. Thermostat. New thermostat. And new seal. Sweet. Ooh. Much better. Maybe. I think that's going to be the wrong size. Hold on. Losing my mind. Losing my mind. Hand tighten. Should be good. Now these head studs, you just need a, if you got head studs, I hope you do, but if you got head studs, just turn them in. They don't need to be torqued down. They just, there we go. Oh, too far. Come back. Thank you. Might want to get you some of this ARP lube for head studs. Y'all let the air escape. If you don't, you'll end up blowing a hole through your case. Got a, I think this is a Killer Bee oil pickup. Buddy of mine give it to me. Ben, thank you. I cleaned up the splash flash guard. Alright, here we go. Like I said, I'm not torquing these down. I'm just going ahead and tighten them because torquing down these small bolts just isn't right. You should just be able to hand torque them and go on. Just don't over torque them, over tighten them. They just need to be snugged. Buddy of mine ordered me a set of Tommy head gaskets. They're, I think, 1.2 millimeter thick, and they are 101 millimeter. For the heads I got, for the piston size, I got 100 millimeter pistons, so I need 100 millimeter gaskets. I'm glad they put these in a box like this because I don't want them to get damaged. There they are. Pretty. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start installing our heads. When you put your gaskets on, you got to make sure that you get the oil port on the right side. Got some new cam seals we're going to get installed. Sweet. Now we get to put these back in. Alrighty, now we're getting somewhere. Hopefully I haven't forgot anything. There we go. There we go. That's good. 60, 90. My torque gun only goes, my big one only goes down to 50, so. Okay. This always makes me nervous. Damn. That's a And boom, this is exhaust. And intake. Now, if you don't know how to do this, I know there's plenty of videos out there, but you got on the cam itself, it says intake or exhaust, and it'll say left hand side or right hand side. These are left hand side, so they're left, LEXLIN. And again, this will be intake and exhaust. It'll actually say it. Make sure you line them up right. The arrows will face toward the front of the block. Alright, you got two different types of bolts, and one is T1 and the other is a T2. T1 goes to 7 foot-pounds, which is these two front ones. T2 goes to 14.5 foot-pounds. 7. That, and they still turn. That's a good thing. Should be good to go. Flip her over and do the next one. So exciting. Dowel pins in. Surface is cleaned off partially. Anyways, go ahead and throw this head gasket on. Make sure you got your oil port. Okay, so your oil port is right here. Make sure your oil port is lined up so your head gasket's turned the right direction. There we go. now we can go ahead and start putting our Honda bond. No, I'm just kidding. We can do that. We need to put some like RTV, like pre-bond in specific locations. Somebody gave me this stuff, and it's basically, he said he swears by it, so we're going to use it. Don't lose your half moons. So when you get your valve cover, your gaskets, make sure you get a rubber breather, because the cork style seals or gasket suck. They will start leaking within like a month. So make sure you get the rubber ones. So your half moons are going to go, you're going to want to put some bondage on these half moons and put them into place. On me. So we'll put some in the corners. Don't forget to put your spark plug gaskets on your valve cover. You don't want those leaking. And always replace all your gaskets. Anytime you do a fresh rebuild, always replace them. You don't want it to start leaking down the road. There it is. Valve cover. Always write down your, always put your bolts and nuts in a bag and write down what they're for. It's so helpful. So helpful. Don't get the cheapest kit that you can find, because if you do that, you will end up with cheap stuff. And your shit will leak. Your vehicle will leak. So, well, these are rubber, and I'm going to put some little bit of oil on them so they don't seize up. 0.7 foot-pounds. I don't have anything that goes down that low, so we're going to do it by hand. So if it gets down to like 4 foot-pounds, I just use my hand. It tends to work. You don't want to over torque them because you'll strip them. So I think it's better just to hand torque them that low. My handy dandy Trump knife that's made in China. Designed in America, but made in China. I mean, seriously? Somebody's just trying to make money. Alright, here we go. So we got our new O-ring. We've already installed them, and I've seen people say that you're supposed to use RTV on it, like a thin layer, but I don't. This goes one way and one way only. Covers. I gotta find it. Get this. I've already got a video on how to time one of these. I'm not gonna go over timing it. I'll include it up here or over here, whichever way. I'll put it somewhere. Just gotta crank it over and make sure everything's good. Go ahead and install our exhaust manifold. If I ever had it, I've lost it. My mind, that is. Pretty good at that. Yeah, I need to get a header. Turn it the right way. I might change this, the location of this. I'm not sure yet. Just depends. Just in case. Oh, it's been so long since you've been able to see the car. So nervous. Can't believe I forgot this. It's like one of the main things you need. If you don't have this, you don't have anything. It might start, but it won't go anywhere. This is one. I'm going to clean this too while it's in there. I think we're good, but I just want to check. Make sure. It's always sucks when I do this myself. Look at the purple one, but it's... Oh yeah, it's good. Okay. Let's, everything's back together. There's a few bolts I gotta put back on, but that's, on the bottom of the transmission. I'll get to those later because I gotta pull the axles to do that. But I want to go ahead and get this thing started. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. Wish me luck. What?